So the gray uses fossil fuels, and then green doesn't use. It uses just electrolysis.
You're really lost on this, dude.
No, I'm not. What are you talking about? It's literally what it says.
Okay, yeah, no, but there's two. Okay.
It's customizable to whatever your specific need is. And I think that's incredible when you think about the quality of the product that they produce, right? The quality of the vessel that they create. Mm-hmm. And to give you all of those options on power based off of like your lifestyle choices with how you use the vessel, where you live, where you keep your boat, like all of that, it makes it so comfortable to look at it and say, I could have exactly what I need. Welcome to another episode of the Southern Boating Podcast. I'm Ian Sneed.
I'm James Anderson.
And today, the topics that we're going to be talking about are, well, I don't know how to say this because I don't want to say exactly what the first topic is.
So the first topic is we're going to cover hydrogen, basically.
See, that's what I didn't want to say. I didn't want to say hydrogen power because it's some pretty cool technology that's coming out.
It is, and it's very interesting. And I think to me, it's actually piqued my interest to do more research on this article, which we'll get into. Mm-hmm. And then the second article is one that we've been waiting on for it to actually be released. Mm-hmm. It's a boat that we obviously loved to see. I think it's very elegant, and that's the Palm Beach GT60.
Right.
So we'll go ahead and let's get started talking about, now that I spilled the beans.
Yeah,
you didn't want me to say it.
I wanted that to be like a little teaser, like, oh, we got some cool new technology. That's what I should have said.
It is cool, let's be honest. Hydrogen is not new.
Right.
But some of the new processes or the processes are new.
How they're making it more available, I think, is the exciting part.
I wouldn't use available, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would say that in which it's being utilized.
Okay, that works too. Yeah.
So let's get right into it. Well,
no, hold on. We can't just get right into it.
Yes, we can.
Remember to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and leave a comment. Let us know what your opinion is on hydrogen fuel. What? That's what we got to do that first. That's how we kick it off.
I got you. Okay. You. Yes.
And with that.
So yeah, well now we can jump into it. All right. So anyways, I was excited to read this article. I think it like I said before, it's piqued my interest a little bit more with hydrogen. There are some definite pros and some definite cons to running hydrogen. And there's a lot of variabilities here, meaning that, availability is an issue with hydrogen. Storage can be a known issue with hydrogen. But there's some unbelievable pros about hydrogen, and that can be, number one, what's the byproduct of running hydrogen is producing water as your waste. Right.
Assuming it's the green, because there's two classifications of hydrogen fuel, right?
So you
have gray and green.
So gray hydrogen is made and there's two ways to produce hydrogen. So there's two ways to produce, and one way actually has two ways upon that. So
there's multiple ways, but there's two main ways that actually make sense for the way we intend to use it. Because you can make hydrogen in multiple ways, but there's two main ways.
So there's the gray and the green, correct. But there's also different ways of utilizing hydrogen as far as the methane gas process too,
right?
Which is totally different. That's hydrogen on demand.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's hydrogen, which is the processes of making hydrogen also to store it, is gray and green. Mm-hmm. Gray meaning that we are using, it's an the other way that we would end up storing it is a process through electrolysis, which we provide a low voltage current through water, and the byproduct of that is pure hydrogen, right? The output gas.
So that it literally splits.
Those two are split into gray and green.
Well, hold on, no. So the gray uses fossil fuels, and then green doesn't use. It uses just electrolysis.
You're really lost on this, dude.
No, I'm not. What are you talking about? It's literally what it says.
Okay, yeah, no, but there's two. Okay. This article talks about two different kinds of hydrogen.
Yes.
Right. Hydrogen on demand, which is a different process. It doesn't use gray or green hydrogen. It uses a methane gas to create steam at a high temperature to separate the hydrogen.
No, let's open this up because I think that's not what I read.
100%.
That's not how I read it.
Go back and read it.
Okay. So when we're talking right here, hydrogen is defined as either being gray or green in reference to how it's produced. Gray hydrogen uses fossil fuels like natural gas, which in turn produces greenhouse gas, undermining the zero impact, right?
Right.
Green hydrogen is the only sustainable source of hydrogen produced via electrolysis, and it's used as a renewable energy source like solar or wind, and essentially splits it up
This
into
article's still wrong.
hydrogen and oxygen gases.
Okay. So yes,
The only waste is
methane on
water.
demand or hydrogen on demand is one way, right? And that's its own classification. Meaning, but yes, you're using a fossil fuel, which would be a natural gas or something along those sources.
And that's what classifies it as gray.
That's what classifies
it's more green,
as
but it's still
being
gray.
Right? But there's also the other process in which we're going to store the hydrogen. This is why there's so many different variables that make hydrogen either it still leaves us with the best possible way to figure all of this out, right? And so many people are trying to work towards this to find what is the best solution, right? And this is where I was getting started too, is to say the size of your boat is a big part of this as well, because some of this equipment is sizable equipment. So storing hydrogen
So the thing is
one way that you can utilize the hydrogen, which means you have to fuel hydrogen to a tank that has to be pressurized and cooled.
So you and me are technically having two conversations because you're going into the storage element of it. I'm going into the creation element. But you're adding the storage element to that.
Right. But
which is not what I was covering originally.
But you have to. Because again, there's really, when it comes down to this article, there's 3 types of hydrogen to be produced. Hydrogen on demand, which means you're making the hydrogen on the ship. Right?
Yes. Correct.
Okay? And that can be via a gray process. It could be via a green process, but you'd have to have a really large ship with lots of solar energy or wind energy or something along those lines, right?
Absolutely.
So you're using a fossil fuel like natural gas, right? That we pump out of the ground, right? And you're using that natural gas to create high temperature steam that's between 700 to 1,000 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, I read that.
That's really high temperature steam to separate and produce hydrogen from the water.
Yes.
Right? And then that instantly as it's created is being used. So there's no storage at that point. The other way that a lot of the engines currently today, as we know it, like the Yamaha outboard, needs to have hydrogen tanks and stored. And here becomes an issue with hydrogen. Hydrogen has to be stored under high pressure and cool temperatures, or actually, let's call it cold temperatures, to keep it condensed enough. And that's why we keep it under pressure. And that requires big tanks, which
we've seen
you've seen
in person.
Right?
Yeah.
I showed them to you at MIBS last year,
right,
in the Yamaha booth. And we were both like,
We're like, those are that takes away kind of the storage on the very bottom part.
Right. So your fish boxes and stuff like that, you know, in your storage underneath the deck, a lot of it says bye-bye. Right. On a boat that size, right? This is where I said size
is a larger vessel, then it wouldn't be an issue. Right.
So there's those 3 ways. And how this article gets into it, and the reason that I feel that it's important that we pay attention to it, is there's multitudes of ways that people are searching for it to be used. I think when we talk about the larger ships being north of 100 feet, and in case of the tug that's being produced, which is on-demand hydrogen, you know, they have the room for the equipment. That's probably a great resource. But what's interesting is that only increases the efficiency of the tug by 30%, or decreases the green
emissions,
right, by 30%, or decreases the emissions by 30% to make it more green. And that's really interesting. But that's cool too. I mean, decreasing emissions is fairly important, especially on commercial vessels. Now, when we talk about it recreation-wise, that's a whole different animal, right? Recreation people are probably searching for something that's more 100% green. We're trying to get as close to carbon neutral as possible. Here comes the problem that we're going to discuss also with hydrogen. Where do you get it at the dock?
Yeah, and I think that's one thing when you're looking at like the systems in place for fueling, everything is very much fossil fuel focused. You have gas, you have diesel, but then to store hydrogen at a dock or at a marina, that's going to take massive space, massive energy. Like there's a lot of logistical elements that make it a challenge to make it adoptable at a large scale.
Right. And then the supply issue of it. We don't have a lot of hydrogen supply.
Right.
Point blank.
Right.
So even if you had the facility to have a hydrogen pump at the dock, then who's going to supply that?
Right.
Right. And that becomes part of the issue too. So we're not 100% there yet, getting closer, but it's a neat aspect. So there's two boats of reference in this article too. There is a 391 foot super yacht that is supposedly built for Bill Gates, and that's a hydrogen run and stores hydrogen is what I read into that. And that's really interesting. The near fact that it can run and it uses fuel cells to produce power. The fuel cells produce the power to electric motors, and there it goes, provides propulsion and electricity.
Right. And if it's going, I think it can go up to 10 knots with zero emissions. And then after that, then obviously there's going to be a little bit of emissions.
And then the tug uses the process that we talked about, which is very interesting. I think that for commercial vessels is probably the most economic for them. And that's the hydrogen on demand, which is never going to be green, again, unless you have like a tanker that can have wind turbines, a massive array of solar panels, right? And the equipment to do the electrolysis process on board. So that's a much different issue.
And that's to get it to completely zero emissions.
That would make it zero emissions.
Like quite literally zero.
Right.
Zero negative impact on the environment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, still fascinating that solution is an option depending on what the vessel is.
Right. Yeah. And then the Yamaha outboards, I think that's really neat. But again, you're talking about a smaller boat, and we saw what it does. Now, I think it's excellent that they're exploring this. And hats off to Yamaha for doing it.
Yeah, because just pulling off what they did is already extremely impressive.
Yes.
Yeah, it's extremely impressive.
Absolutely. And they partnered with Roush, which I didn't know that their partner with this was Roush. Which being a car guy, I know Roush's history very, very well.
Yeah, if you're a car guy, the word Roush gets you to perk up.
Believe me, when I was shopping for trucks, I saw a couple of Roush trucks, and I decided, I can't spend that much money on a truck.
Watch, one day I'm going to come in with a Roush truck, and you're going to just be glaring at me like...
I'm going to be mad. I'll probably show up the next day with my checkbook and be like, how much? How much? And I'll give you my trade. My truck's nice, but I might want the Roush one. So again, going back to the hydrogen thing, obviously I'm passionate about hydrogen. I'm an investor in hydrogen through multiple different sources. So it's always been very interesting to me. When I drove a BMW is one of the auto manufacturers that searches for hydrogen, and they're trying to beat some of the other manufacturers to hydrogen. Toyota's also into hydrogen now. So on the auto side, it's also being adopted.
Yeah.
But in the boat side...
The thing is, both auto and recreational boating have the same issue regarding storage and space, right?
That's always what it's going to come down to right now, is unfortunately hydrogen has to be stored under pressure. And to me, I'm not a fan of putting things under pressure on a vessel.
Right.
It just, especially flammable stuff under pressure. It doesn't make sense.
And I'm not going to lie. I know oxygen is explosive, but I don't know if
anything under pressure is explosive.
Well, yes, that's very, very accurate. Absolutely. What I'm saying is I don't know how flammable hydrogen is, or how much it can influence flames and fire.
You remember the Hindenburg? Or I know you don't remember it, but
I was not alive.
The Hindenburg lamp?
That was hydrogen. Okay. So
it wasn't until after the Hindenburg that we switched to helium, and therefore you now know hydrogen is highly flammable.
Yeah, you're right.
So
I had completely forgotten about that.
It's a combustible gas. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
That's the word, combustible. Thank you. I was like, there's a word for this. Right. It exists. My brain is not.
And the article brings up something very interesting as well that a lot of people don't really know or pay attention to. I know you like to laugh, obviously, because I can nerd out on this subject.
It's reminding me of it's combustible, right? I forgot that word. Yesterday or the day before, I was trying to describe a bookshelf, and I was like, like the cabinets for like books And someone's like, a bookshelf? And I'm like, that's the one. So right now, the combustible thing just reminded me of that. Sorry.
So yeah.
Please continue.
Now you're gonna like I've lost track of
Yeah,
what I was
know.
about to say.
I'm sorry.
But it's okay. But in hindsight, one of the things a lot of people don't realize how much energy is lost in a regular combustion engine running gasoline compared to an electric motor. So it's like the 80-20 rule. We use it in work all the time, right? 20% of your people will do 80% of the work, right? Okay, so now we have an 80-20 rule, but apply it to a gas motor or a diesel motor or any combustible motor, really, and it is 20% of the power it's producing is being used. 80% of the power that a combustion engine is producing is being wasted, right? As heat. Now, the reverse happens in an electric motor. 80% of the power is being used or is usable, and 20% is wasted to heat. So obviously, if you can switch to electric,
way more efficient.
It's way more efficient. But the problem is how do we produce the electricity? And that's the issue that we always have. Is it solar? Is it wind? Is it electrolysis and hydrogen? Is it, or hydrogen? And then how are you going to develop the hydrogen? And, so there's a lot of issues to it. So I love this article. I think to me, it causes me to look into it a little bit further.
And clearly it's something that a lot of boaters are going to love and get passionate about because it's something that can benefit their experience boating, their pocketbook when it comes to the efficiency on the fuel. Like there's a lot of things where in the future you're looking at this and you're like, oh, this could be really, really great for us, right?
I think it's going to be great for industry as a whole.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to take a little bit of time, but everything that's great takes time. So it's something that we're going to have to keep an eye on. But like I said, I'm personally invested into hydrogen, fuel cells, and that method of transportation or powering transportation. It's really, really interesting to see it kind of pick up steam. And I think in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see a lot more of it. And I'm really excited to see it come to recreational boating too. I think it's going to first hit commercial far before it hits recreational.
Absolutely. It always works that way.
It's on its way now.
Yeah.
And we got 2 great examples of it. And I'm sure we're going to see a lot more coming down the road. So the next one.
Hold on. So read that article in our November issue. I just want to.
Yeah, please do.
Read the article. And then if you read the article and want to leave a comment after the fact about your opinions on hydrogen power, please do.
So the next piece that we're going to talk about is something really exciting, something that we all love here. I think it's something that's one of the most elegant things in boats out there. I mean, it always catches my eye. I can see it from across the bay. It's, no matter what distance, you'll hear me spot it out. Well, and now I'm going to drop it. That's Palm Beach. So we did a review on the Palm Beach GT60, and wow, right? Steve wrote this, and we got some beautiful spread pictures in the article as well. Yeah. It is a great article. I think the Palm Beach is an unbelievable boat. Leading off the story, there's a little hint to what's in the future for Palm Beach, and that's a 107-foot yacht from Palm Beach. And even the CEO and founder of Palm Beach, who is Mark, he says that I can't believe I'm going to make a 107-foot yacht, right? Which is really exciting. So we look forward to that. But let's talk about this GT60.
Yeah, let's do it.
The GT60, just to start with, the first words out of my mouth are always refined elegance. Very modernistic design elements. Absolutely gorgeous from every angle that you look at it. And now, and when you want to even creep it up a notch, performance. Like, what a performer too.
Yeah, for me, if I'm looking at, so I'll start up by saying it's a gorgeous vessel. It's modern, it's sporty, like the profile it's modern, it's sporty. It's the design is like clean, it's uncluttered, it's smooth, elegant surfaces on the inside. Just everything about it screams luxury and elegance.
Exactly. Well put, because that's exactly what it is. And it's designed to be that way. But then you talk about performance. So just to get started, it's got the V-Warp hull that they're known for. And that helps with its performance, helps it get up on the plane. It's a much more efficient hull. So it gets on the plane faster. It also provides it with some handling characteristics to make a very smooth ride. Very, very important. And then the model that we were talking about has got something unique to it as well. And it was the first time that it was offered on this model is jet drive. Which jet drive is, there's some other boats out there that utilize jet drive, but one of the things is being able to get into the shallows with the jet drive.
Yeah, because here it references, the owner that ordered this with the jet drives. He's from Maine. And there's a lot of lobsters up there, so he doesn't want the outboards
a lot
getting.
of people lobster fishing, and there's a lot of lobster traps because of that.
Exactly, and so you don't want your outboards getting caught on any of those, right?
No,
you don't. So the jet drives make a lot of sense because it reduces the draft.
Yeah, you just got to make sure not to suck up anybody's line into your water input.
Right.
So that's the only thing.
Yeah, well, that's just, I think, careful driving, right? But
pretty much.
No, and so I thought that was really, really a fun, because then now you're looking at a weight distribution where it has to be precise, right? There's a change in the weight distribution because of.
So the motors on this one stayed midship, and then the jet drives, it's got a carbon shaft to the jet drives on the stern.
Exactly.
Right? Which is really neat. So carbon shaft jet drives, that just tells you right off the bat that they are highly concerned with weight and the weight distribution.
Exactly.
Right? And Steve compared this to driving a Porsche. And what's funny is I'm not sure that maybe he doesn't know, but being a Porsche owner of several different models, one of the things that when I had a front engine Porsche known as a 944, it has a front motor, but the transmission is in the rear to give it that 50-50 weight distribution. And that's what they're trying to accomplish here, is by spreading out that weight, gives it a better balance. And that distinctly helps the performance of this boat.
I thought it was an extremely intelligent design choice.
Yeah,
it's extremely intelligent.
It's 100% very smart. Then also you got other options with this. So there's 3 different power options. You can read the article to go over all of them, but one is they're all Volvos, all Volvo Pentas. But there's D13s with the jet drives, D1350s with IPS, and D950s with IPS. You've got several different options available to you, but the one that we reviewed here is the one with the jet drive.
Right.
And just something brand new to Palm Beach, very exciting.
It really minimizes the draft, which I think is, for me, the most exciting part of having that jet drive is that draft minimization that allows you, like you said, to get into more shallows, that allows you to navigate different areas a little bit tighter. Like, I thought it was
completely
awesome.
different. Yeah. So where that would affect us mostly, because we live down here in the Southeast, where do we go the most? The Bahamas. Right? So in the Bahamas, there's lots of shallows, right? So think about all the different areas that you can get into in the Bahamas as well. And you've been to the Bahamas a couple of times. So
now
you've seen it firsthand.
Right. Now the cool thing is, if let's say you still need to have some distance between you and your final destination, like, this vessel actually has a garage, a tender garage.
Correct.
And it's like hidden in the transom, and it has its own customized launch rails.
Yep.
It's, if I remember right, it's an inflatable, but it's a solid bottom.
It's a rigid inflatable. So it's a solid bottom. And what's really unique about this garage too is you can put an inflatable in there that has an outboard. Right. So you don't have to go shopping for an inflatable that's a jet drive as well. So, and that's a big deal. Right?
It is.
Because a lot of garages don't accommodate outboards.
Right.
And you have to go find like a Williams jet tender. And some people don't want that jet drive. So you get you can have it in this boat, in this model particularly, you can have it any way you want.
You really can.
I mean, you can't beat it.
It's customizable to whatever your specific need is. And I think that's incredible when you think about the quality of the product that they produce, right? The quality of the vessel that they create. And to give you all of those options on power based off of like your lifestyle choices with how you use the vessel, where you live, where you keep your boat, like all of that, it makes it so comfortable to look at it and say, I could have exactly what I need.
And then also, let's talk about the layout with this one, because the more I see this style of layout, the more I appreciate it. And that's the galley down below.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I thought it worked really, really, really well with this boat. And looking at it in the pictures, it obviously adds for a lot more entertaining space in the salon.
It does, yeah.
Right?
It creates the ability to have a walk-around helm. You can have a dedicated entertainment space in the salon. There's a lot of great elements to it that having the galley down below, I was like, oh, it's an atrium galley. You still have the 2 en-suites with queen berths. Right.
That are walk-around
queen berths. So you have all this extra space by making this design choice of moving the galley to the right position down below.
It really opens up this boat to being a good, entertaining boat and makes it more useful to me, right? And more comfortable as well.
Absolutely.
I definitely agree with that. You know, and the way that the galley is positioned too, when you go down below, it's in the atrium section. So it still feels really spacious. It doesn't feel like you're in tight cramped quarters.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very nice way of laying this boat out. And it's just, again, it's very, very creative.
And we haven't even begun to talk about the cockpit yet, because the cockpit space has a nearly full beam
settee.
Well, yeah, settee. I was thinking about the L-shaped lounge. You have the ability to walk up to the bow from the cockpit. You walk around up to the bow. You have the swim platform, which is a sizable swim platform. There's also the access to the tender garage, which we mentioned, and it's all there. So, like, if you think about it, like we've talked about, you know, the salon, the helm, the staterooms, the galley, the cockpit, the bow space, the tender garage, the swim platform. Like, just think about all of that, and then on top of that, the optimization on, you know, the power options that you have for your lifestyle. Like they put everything in.
Yeah, and one of the things that we didn't mention that I also took light of and really noticed is the walk around helm. So it's positioned in a way that you can walk up both port and starboard side to the helm, right? Starboard, not typically, because now it's a walk around. So you can walk around up on the starboard side of the helm, but as well as port, where typically you can walk up to the helm.
Right.
It's, you know, so you can access the helm from both sides.
Right.
Which is interesting. So it's not all the way to the starboard, but it's positioned a little bit off center. So it's really quite interesting. I think it was very, very smart to do such a thing.
And then when you take all of that and look at the elegance and the luxury that come with the brand, when you look at the efficiency that comes with, you know, like the V-Warp technology on the whole, it's just, you look at it and you just want it. You just want it. I know, because that's
give me your checkbook and I'll go buy one.
Like, I can't help but say, like, there's nothing else. You know, it's length overall 65 feet 1 inch, a beam of 17 feet 2 inches. Like, it's a great size. It's a comfortable size.
It really is.
It's spacious inside and out.
You cannot beat this, and it's got some decent range as well.
Yeah,
which I was very, very impressed with. 517 nautical miles.
Yeah.
Right, at 21 knots. That's impressive.
That's very impressive.
So we can go to the far reaches of the Bahamas, to the Abaco, and pretty much back.
Yep.
And not have to buy gas there.
Yeah.
But, you know, you're going to explore, so sorry, you're going to be buying
You're
gas.
probably going to be buying gas, yeah.
Yeah, because what's the whole point? You're not going there and then relaxing. No, you're going to go relax and explore.
Explore and enjoy, and yeah.
That's the whole point, right?
Absolutely.
At least this one, you can go explore in some serious style, right? Some serious style, some excellent luxuries.
It's on the cover for a reason.
It's a gorgeous boat, especially the way in which this one's done up with the navy.
I can't get enough of it, honestly. So
like I said, so give me your checkbook and I'll go buy one.
I literally went on their website and I was just like just trying to take it all in, because there really is so much provided. Yes.
I'm sure they'll make us a great deal with your checkbook.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. they're probably like, Ian who?
Yeah. That's all right. Well, if they watch, I'm sure they're not saying Ian who.
Yeah, that's true. Hi, Palm Beach.
So anyways, until next time, I'm James Anderson.
I'm Ian Sneed.
See you next show. Starboard, typical, right? Port, you know, that's...
Yeah, it's...
Or actually, well, you're going to have to edit that.
That's fine. That's cool.
Where did we see that range?
It's right there above in the middle.
Oh, yeah. Well, hi, Ian. How are you today? I'm glad that you could come to work today in your pink attire. Yeah, it's awfully nice of you. So, but don't worry. You can stay there and be quiet, and I'll handle the show today. I've got you, dude. I know.
I think the most annoying part about this is my cell phone is the timer so that we know how long we're recording. And I can't entertain myself in the meantime because my cell phone's over there.